He'll reset. Nowitzki again for the lead. Bang!
What's up, Mavs fans? Welcome into All Things Mavs. I'm your host, Jimmy Crowther, and I am finally back to recap the Mavs' victory over the Memphis Grizzlies. I know it's been a few days. I think it's actually been, 8 days since I last had a video on here when I recapped the Mavs' loss to the Portland Trailblazers. And honestly, just a crazy week due to the weather. Hope everybody's staying safe in DFW after all the ice storms and everything that has finally melted away and everything is back to normal now. 2 games postponed for the Dallas Mavericks. The Mavs literally had 8 days off in between that game against Portland and now in tonight's victory against the Memphis Grizzlies. But I'm here to recap it, and I'll be back on schedule with some game previews and some game recaps as well throughout this week, starting with this one as the Mavs inch closer back to 500 with a victory over Memphis. And that's right, I'm not shaving the stash until Dallas gets back to 500. Even if they do, I might not even shave it because you know what? I love the stash. I think it's a good look for me. So sorry if you hate it. I like it, and I'm probably going to stick with it. But Mavs closed this one out 102-92. They did not lead, or they did not trail a single moment in this game. They led from wire to wire. It got down to 10 points at the very end there, but Dallas was kind of on coast mode, which wasn't safe, but hey, they still got the win. Most important note of the night, though, Kristaps Porzingis did not play. He was an early, or I guess a late scratch in the afternoon due to lower back tightness. Now, in all reality, it's probably just because Dallas has to turn around and play the Boston Celtics tomorrow on Tuesday. So it's the first night of a back-to-back. They rest Porzingis, but in all honesty, it's pretty frustrated. You had 8 days off. 8 days. There's no reason he really had to rest. It's annoying. And you know what? I'm one of the biggest Kristaps Porzingis truthers on YouTube, on Twitter. You guys know I love the guy, and I'm super optimistic about him. But not having him play these games when Dallas needs to win games, especially against Western Conference opponents, it's really frustrating. Now, the Mavs still got the win anyway, and Memphis, honestly, they're not that great this year. They're 13-14 now after this game. They are decent, but without Jaren Jackson Jr. this year, no Dylan Brooks right now. They're a beatable team either way. But still, I still think Porzingis should have played, and I was pretty frustrated by it. And you know what? Some of you guys might be throwing out trade scenarios about Porzingis. You might be saying, hey, right now is the time to trade KP due to all these injuries. And this isn't what this video is going to be about. But if you're really thinking about it, his value is going to be so low right now that it's not even worth it to try to trade Porzingis. So hold on to him, see what you got, be patient. Hopefully he'll be back against the Celtics. He should be back because I believe this is just more of a rest night for KP after 8 straight days of rest. But anyway, Dallas wins the game. First half, listen, Luka looked really bad. He scored 7 points in the first half. He missed a ton of free throws. He honestly missed a ton of shots as well. I think he made one really nice field goal and a three-pointer, and those were really where his points were coming from in that first half. Josh Richardson kind of got this game started for the Mavericks. He had 10 points, or 11 points and 5 rebounds in the very first quarter, which was great for him. He ended with 17 points, and I was really impressed with his shooting. He ended up shooting 3 of 7 from 3. I think 2 of those came in the first quarter, and I loved everything we got from Jay Rich. He got to the rim well. It kind of looked like the Jay Rich of preseason, which we saw when he was dominating against teams like the Milwaukee Bucks in those preseason games. That's kind of what he looked like in the first quarter of this one, and I was really, really happy with what we got out of him. He continued to look like the 3rd best player on this team that the Mavs thought he would be. But when the game was over, he wasn't the Mavs' 3rd best player. In fact, there were 2 players that were better than Josh Richardson tonight, in Tim Hardaway Jr. and Jalen Brunson. Both of them had huge second quarters, but really they had huge games as a whole, coming off the bench together and leading this Dallas Maverick team to victory. 29 points from Tim Hardaway, 19 points from Jalen Brunson. Off the bench. That's like 6th and 7th man of the year material right there from JB and THJ. I'm really, really happy with what I saw out of both those guys, and it's been frustrating with Tim Hardaway Jr. You get nights like this where he goes off for 29 points, hits 7 3-pointers. But tomorrow against Boston, it wouldn't surprise me if he has 8 points and goes 0 of 8 from the 3-point arc. That's just kind of the Tim Hardaway we're getting right now. But I said it early on in the season. I'm going to say it now. If Dallas can get a good game out of one of Josh Richardson or Tim Hardaway Jr. each night, then they're going to be okay. Now, tonight, luckily, they got a good night out of both of them because you didn't have Kristaps Porzingis, and honestly, Luka didn't look that great. In fact, his game streak of 25-plus points was snapped tonight as he finished with just 21 points. But he still finished with 21 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, and a blocked shot. And that's an off night for Luka Doncic, who, by the way, deserved that all-star nod that he got as a starter. He was 8 of 18 from the field, 3 of 10 from 3. The worst part of Luka's night was the free throw shooting. He went 2 of 9 from the free throw line. His free throw shooting is very heavily mental, and I think that's all it was for Luka. I wouldn't be concerned about this night, but missing 7 free throws is not very good. So let me give you the box score real quick for this one. I mean, there isn't a whole lot to kind of break down. Dallas played well defensively. Offensively, they were okay, but holding Memphis to 92 points was a big win for Dallas, and honestly, a big chunk of those points, really, they outscored Dallas the most in the third quarter or the fourth quarter when they had 30 points. But here was Dallas's box score for you. Leading the way, as I mentioned, Tim Hardaway Jr. with 29 points and 4 rebounds, 7 of 11 from 3, 9 of 14 from the field. Second runner-up for him for leading scorer was Luka Doncic with 21, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, a blocked shot. Jalen Brunson with 19 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists. Josh Richardson, 17 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, 3 of 7 from 3. Also played some really, really good defense on Ja Morant. I mean, Ja Morant still had 22 points, but when Josh Richardson was out there, he slowed down Ja Morant, who was 10 of 21 from the field, 0 of 4 from. Other than that, no other Mavs were in double figures. Dorian Finney-Smith had 4 points, but he did have 9 rebounds and 2 assists. I'm a little worried about Dorian Finney-Smith's kind of slippage in his 3-point shooting this year, or really over this last little stretch. But ultimately, he makes such a big impact on this team on the boards that I'll let it make up for it. Dwight Powell, 6 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. He played 27 minutes, a block shot. Honestly, not a bad night from Dwight Powell. He had caught some good lobs. I think he played with high energy. I was happy with his night. Cauley-Stein off the bench, 4 points, 6 rebounds, a steal, and a block. Again, high energy kind of night for Willie Cauley-Stein, but you know, before the game, or during the game, I was actually watching highlights of him in college because it just came up on Twitter. I think he reposted them actually, or liked the video, I don't know. And it was just videos of him dunking in college. And they were all so athletic and ferocious and strong. And now it's he doesn't really have that anymore. I don't know what it is, but even when he dunks it, they're soft dunks. I don't know why he doesn't do what he did in college. But anyway, not important. He was still a factor. Trey Burke continues, wow, I can't talk, to get some really weird minutes. He played 10 minutes. He had 0 points. He was 0 of 1 from 3. He had a really bad turnover. And that's really all he did tonight. And then the last guy I want to talk about is Maxi Kleber. 2 points, 5 rebounds, an assist, and a block. 27 minutes. Only shot the ball 1 time. But Maxi Kleber went down with a sprained ankle in the beginning of the fourth quarter, I believe, and he did not return to the game. And I would probably list him as doubtful for that game against Boston tomorrow night. But luckily, Kristaps Porzingis will probably be back, so the Mavs should be okay. Maxi just coming off of COVID. This is a tough blow for him, but we'll see what happens. Nothing definite yet. I don't have the injury report, but as of right now, I would not expect him to play in that game against Boston. James Johnson, Wes Iwundu, Boban Marjanovic all did not play. The 4 rookies are all in the G League. Tyrell Terry, who, by the way, had 26 points tonight in the G League. Tyler Bay, who, by the way, should be in the NBA now. Josh Green, who has not made his G League debut yet. And then Nate Hinton, all down in the G League. We're not with the Dallas Mavericks. The ESPN box score, for some reason, has Tyrell Terry listed as a reserve tonight. He literally played in the G League bubble tonight, so I don't know what that's about. But anyway, Dallas gets the W. There isn't really anything major to talk about this game. I think just the most encouraging part about all this is the fact that the role players stepped up when they needed to. Jalen Brunson, I legitimately believe, has been the consistent second best player on this team this year, which isn't good, but he's a starter on any other team in the league. And whether you want to look at that and say, oh, well, that's trade value going up, or you want to look at that and say, hey, that's a win for the Mavs, either way, it's a very good thing for the Dallas Mavericks right now. The way he handles the ball, the way he gets passes off, the way he does, the shots that he makes are so tough. And it has been such a big threat for the Mavs having him coming off the bench, especially with Tim Hardaway Jr. doing what he did tonight. Look, if the Mavs can climb back up into the playoff picture, higher, the 5th or 6th seed, Dallas is going to have, I believe, 2 guys in the 6th man of the year conversation in Tim Hardaway Jr. and Jalen Brunson. Now, unfortunately, I think Jordan Clarkson with Utah has it locked up, but ultimately, if the Mavs can continue to climb the standings like I just mentioned, Tim Hardaway Jr. and Jalen Brunson will be in that conversation as well. Now, Dallas with this win moves to 14-15. They are now tied with the Grizzlies for 9.5 games out of first place, but they have a better win percentage. The Mavs have a win percentage of .483, or I guess 48.3%, and the Grizzlies' win percentage is at 48.1. So Dallas currently is in sole possession of the 9th seed in the Western Conference. They are 1 game behind the Golden State Warriors for the 8th seed, a game and a half behind the Denver Nuggets for the 7th seed, which is crazy to me that Denver has fallen that low. And then they are 3 games behind San Antonio for the 6th seed, 4 games behind Portland for the 5 seed, but I believe Portland is going to end up losing tonight's game if they haven't already. Yeah, it turns out they already lost tonight. Phoenix beat them. So it's starting to look like really the ceiling for Dallas this year is going to be that 5th seed. I don't think they're too far gone from that. The 4th seed with Phoenix is kind of getting a little bit unattainable now. Phoenix is now 19-10. I don't see Dallas climbing that high. They have a 65.5% win percentage, which is just way too good. I don't think Dallas will crack that top 4, but I think Dallas is in the right direction to crack into that top 5. Remember, there is the play-in tournament this year. I have to look up all the rules, but I'm pretty sure it's 7 through 9, or maybe 7 through 10 that makes the play-in. I'm not sure, something like that. But either way, Dallas now 6-4 in their last 10. They have now won 1. They just came off that loss against the Portland Trail Blazers. And again, 1 game under 500. If they go in and face the Celtics, who are really struggling right now, and they beat the Celtics, they will be 500 again for the first time in what feels like forever. Now, I'm not going to go into a full preview of the Boston Celtics game, but Boston right now, they are 15-15. They are 4-6 in their last 10 games, and they just came off of a loss. A lot of their guys are struggling due to coming back from COVID, so we're going to have to see what happens, but I think this is a good opportunity for the Mavs, who are coming off of 8 days of rest, and they're getting Kristaps Porzingis back. They should be able to take care of business against a struggling Boston team. But Boston is still good. I mean, they still have elite players like Tatum, Kemba Walker, and Jalen Brown. It's just what version of those 3 guys are going to show up against Dallas? We'll just have to wait and see. Appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm sorry I haven't been posting here in a little while, but I promise the videos are coming back more regularly, so make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that like button and hit me up in the comment section below. Also, let me know how you like the stash. Thanks for tuning in, and as always, go Mavs, baby.